How to file your first lawsuit and what they don't tell you. Every lawsuit starts with one thing: a legal claim, not just a story, not just anger, not just the fact that something bad happened. A lawsuit begins with a claim. That means you have to identify the legal wrong what the other side committed. Some of the most common claims everyday people bring are breach of contract. Someone did not do what they agreed to do. Negligence, someone was careless and the carelessness caused harm. Fraud, someone made a false statement, you relied on it, and it caused damage. Then there's property damage. Someone damaged your car, your home, or property. And then there is a consumer violation. This deceptive business practice, defective products, or unlawful charges. And last but not least is wage or employment violations, unpaid wages, retaliation, discrimination, or wrongful treatment at work. And this is a part a lot of people miss. A judge does not rule on frustration. A judge does not rule on disrespect. A judge does not rule on how wrong something feels. A judge only rules on a legal claim. So before you ever file a lawsuit, your first job is to answer one question: what is the legal wrong? And if you cannot explain that in one clear sentence, you are probably not ready to file yet. Here's a sentence you should be able to say: I'm suing because the defendant committed breach of contract by not honoring the agreement that we had, which caused me a monetary loss of my income. This is where a real lawsuit starts. That means you need to know exactly what legally wrong happened. Because a courtroom is not the place where you just tell the judge somebody did you wrong and hope they figure it out. The judge only rules on claims that the law recognizes. So your first job is simple. Say the legal wrong in one sentence. The defendant breached our contract by failing to pay me. The defendant was negligent and caused my injury. The defendant made a false statement and I relied on it and I lost money. Now, if you cannot do that, stop right there and figure that part out first. Now, once you know what you're suing for, the next question is just as important: are you in the right court? Every lawsuit has a home, but not every courthouse is the right one. And if you file in the wrong court, you can lose time, lose money, lose momentum before your case ever really starts. You figured out what you're suing for. Now you need to figure out where the case belongs. And here's the breakdown. Small claims court, small claims court or general sessions court are simpler cases, usually are under a certain dollar limit, where people often represent themselves and the process is more streamlined. Then there's state court, the main home for most everyday civil disputes like contract, property damage, negligence, landlord-tenant issues, and many personal injury claims. Then there's federal court, generally for cases involving federal laws such as civil rights, federal wage claims, or cases between people from different states. More than $75,000 is at stake. But it is not just about the level of court. You have to think about venue, the proper location to file the lawsuit. And this matters more than people think, because if you file in the wrong court or the wrong location, your case can be delayed, transferred, or dismissed before anybody ever gets to the facts. So before you walk into a clerk's office or hit submit online, you need to ask yourself 3 questions. Number 1, does this court have jurisdiction? That means the legal power to hear this kind of case. Number 2, is this the right venue? The right place for what happened? And number 3, is my claim within this court's money limit or subject matter limit? If the answer to all 3 is yes, you're ready to move forward. If not, stop and double check before you file. Because in court, being right and in the wrong court is still wrong. Usually that means filing where the defendant lives, where the defendant does business, or where the event happened. Actually, if the defendant does business in your state and they are in another state, then you can sue him in your state. You just have to properly serve them. Always remember, if you're suing a business or an LLC and they have a designated person who accepts the lawsuit, they are generally called a registered agent. Now don't let that scare you. It's much easier to find than you think. Go to the Secretary of State's website for your state, and you can generally find it there. It'll have the company listed, and then it'll have who their registered agent is. Although I found that the California Secretary of State will usually list almost anywhere in the United States. Remember, every lawsuit has a home, but not every courthouse is the right one. And if you file in the wrong court, your case can get thrown out before it ever begins. So after you figure out where you're suing for, what you're suing for, the next question is, where do I file? Then you have venue. That means the right place. Usually where the defendant lives. Usually where the wrong happened. Usually where the law says the case began or belongs. So before you file, ask yourself, does this court have the power to hear my case? Is this the right location? Or does my claim fit within this court's limits? Because filing in the wrong court does not just slow you down, it can kill your case. Once you know what you're suing for and where to file it, the next step is just important. Are you suing the right person or company? Ken out today. I'll talk to you later.